Hello and welcome to the Inspiring Life School podcast. This is your host, Frances Vidakovic, and on this podcast, I'll be sharing with you the most valuable strategies to live your one wildly beautiful and most precious life. Because this is it, my friend. In case you haven't guessed, when it comes to life, there's no rewind or pause button that exists. They say that the way that you spend your days is the way that you spend your life. So my one and only goal here is to help you stop wasting your time, stop holding yourself back in life, stop experiencing non-stop negative mind chatter, stop just dreaming without doing, and start living life fearlessly instead, with more purpose, focus, and intention. I sincerely want you to live life in a way that when you come to the end of it, you know deep down in your heart that you 100% gave it your all, flaws and all. This podcast is not about doing life perfectly. Instead, it is about experiencing and living life with more clarity and courage and truly appreciating this precious adventure that we are so blessed to be on. So if you're with me here today, it's time to stop spinning in circles, get off the hamster wheel for good, put your hands back on the steering wheel of your life, and finally start living life in a way that you won't later regret. With that being said, let's dive on in. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Inspiring Life School podcast. I'm your host, Frances Vidakovic, and today's episode is all about the things that you can just decide to think. Did you know that when it comes to your thoughts, you can just decide to believe whatever you want is true? Now, many of us have this impression or this belief that there are some thought police around that can magically see inside our brains, that they can somehow police our thoughts, and they come in to reprimand us for thinking thoughts that are absolutely not true or have no basis in fact. But that simply isn't the case. For example, I can just decide to think that Bon Jovi is one of the best bands to come out of the 80s. I love Bon Jovi. I think I've seen them perform in concert at least 10 times over my lifetime. Now, there might be some music expert out there that can show me proof that no, they're not the number one band to come out of that era, probably, but that isn't going to stop me from loving them. That isn't enough to stop me from believing whatever I want to believe is true, even if I can't explain to you why I think it's true. So for the record, I do have a really eclectic taste in music. I also love 21 Pilots, I love Eminem, I love the old school music like The Doors and Heart, even Neil Diamond and all the good stuff that came out of the 80s. But guess what? I can just decide to think whatever I want is the best stuff. And it doesn't have to be best for everyone, but I can choose to believe what I want to believe is good and great about the music out there in the world. And the same goes for the thoughts that we can just decide are true. Now, I wanted to give you a whole list of useful thoughts that you can just decide to think are true, because the decisions that you make inside your brain are all up to you. It's all up to you. And these decisions might include things like, well, I can just decide to always focus on the best case scenario rather than the worst case scenario. I can decide to just believe my success is inevitable. I can decide to say that I'm on the right path. I can just decide that is true. I can decide to believe the best in people. I can decide to give them the benefit of a doubt. I can just decide to believe and trust my kids no matter what. I can decide to do the same for my partner and family and friends and just love them unconditionally. I can just decide that only I know what is best for me. I can decide to have my own back. I can decide to take full responsibility for my life rather than playing the part of a victim. And I can decide that there's something to be learned from every experience that I have in my life, even if it's bad. I can learn from that experience and I can grow from it. I can decide to think that my life is actually working for me rather than against me. I can decide that I actually like all the decisions that I'm making, even if other people don't like them, and that's okay. That's their prerogative. They can think whatever they want to think. And I'm free to choose to believe whatever I want to think is true. I can decide to think that my past is actually there to serve me rather than hold me back. I can decide to not feel guilty about choices that I make, even if other people wish that I would choose differently. I can decide not to care what other people think about me, and it's such a big one. I can decide not to let fear stand in my way. I can decide that feeling fear is totally normal, but it doesn't have to stop me. I can decide to rest even when there's work to do. I can decide to support myself and be kind to myself, even if my first inclination is probably to point out all the things that I could be doing better in life. And I can decide to be nice to people, even if they aren't nice to me. I can just decide. I can decide to trust my kids and the decisions they make. I can decide to love whoever they love ahead of time. I can decide to have hope. I can decide to believe. I can decide to hold on to faith. So as you can see, there are so many decisions that we make on a daily basis that no one really has the power to take away from us, because we are in control of our brains. And all of those simple decisions that I listed above definitely have an impact, a powerful impact on our life. And there's really no one that can stop us from making those decisions or from having those thoughts about the world, about ourselves, about our life. No one. And even if some of our thoughts and decisions might seem a little bit crazy to others, we can still secretly keep on thinking them inside, especially if we like our decisions. Did you know that you can just do that? You can like your decisions rather than constantly doubt them and question them. Now, before I end this episode, I want to offer you this fairly simple advice. Whatever you think a thought, so whenever you're thinking anything inside your brain, I want you to ask yourself, how does it make you feel? Okay, this is the most important question that we can ever ask ourselves. And I encourage you to be totally honest with yourself, because for the most part, what I've discovered is that thoughts of judgment, like, well, so-and-so shouldn't be doing that, they shouldn't have said that particular thing, they shouldn't have acted in that way, they should be different. Thoughts like that don't actually make us feel great. They don't. They make us feel really crappy. And when we complain and whinge and whine and, do all that stuff that makes us feel really bad, we have to be honest, it does make us feel really bad. So why do we keep on doing it? When we speak badly about ourselves, when we point out all our mistakes, when we critique our actions, once again, there's a really good chance that that's making you feel terrible rather than feeling good about yourself. So why do we do it? Well, most of the time it's because we don't even know that another option exists. We don't realize that we can actually flip the switch on some of the thoughts we're thinking and decide to think something different. So let me use some of the examples that I mentioned previously just to illustrate to you how this works. I could technically decide to spend a lot of time focusing on all the things that are currently going wrong in my life. If I go looking for the things that are going wrong, I probably will be able to come up with a whole list. And I could decide that success is always going to be outside of my reach and that I'm never going to get to any of the goals that I set, that my goals aren't realistic. I could just decide to doubt people and believe that they have bad intentions. I could decide to focus on all the things that my kids and family and partner are doing wrong. And like I said, when you go looking for those things, you will find them. And I could decide to make my love for them conditional, like they have to behave in a particular way in order to get my approval. I could decide to stay confused and constantly question all the choices that I'm making. I could decide to play the part of a victim and decide that if other people don't believe in me, why should I even believe in myself? And I could decide that my past is terrible, that I'm never going to move past it. I could decide to care about what other people think about me and let fear hold me back in life and hold grudges and feel resentful and believe that I have nothing useful to contribute to the world and so on. Okay, like weird thoughts that we can choose to embrace, but do you know what? So many people actually choose to focus on that. And what is the point of doing that? Just like I said before, like there are no thought police coming to arrest you when you choose to think great things about yourself and your life, and no one's going to come and give you a medal for beating yourself up inside your head and consistently playing small. No one is going to come and arrest you. I promise you, only you will ever be truly impacted by the thoughts you are thinking inside your own head. And if you've listened to me speak on this podcast for a while, then you know why this is the case. It's because your thoughts, the thoughts you are thinking inside your own head, will always impact the way that you feel. Okay, all your feelings come from the thoughts you're thinking, which in turn impact your actions and results in life. Okay, so all the results that you have right now in your life have come from the actions you took, depending on the feelings that you were feeling, which all stem from the thoughts. Okay, the thoughts are always the first domino that kickstart that whole process. And your thoughts are super powerful, but the only person that ever really has power over the thoughts you're thinking is you. Okay, I can't force you to love Bon Jovi if you don't love Bon Jovi. If I'm feeling super angry about some injustice in the world, I can't make you feel the same way. Okay, only you have that power because you get to decide what you think and I get to decide what I think. And other people are always going to be free to think whatever they want to think, no matter what your feelings or actions are. So why not just decide today to be thinking thoughts that serve you, thoughts that make you feel really good about yourself, and thoughts that bring you the results you actually want in life. Okay, so you need to decide what those things are. What results do you want to have? What actions would you need to take in order to get those results? How would you need to feel? And coming back to the original domino, what would you need to be thinking in order to feel inspired or feel motivated or whatever feeling it is that you're trying to embrace? And for me, it's a life of peace and calm and joy. So in order to create that sort of life for myself, I definitely need to be focusing ahead of time on the thoughts that lead to those results. So if you want to dive deeper into this work of managing your mind, well, is a skill that I recommend that we all master, and you want to know how to stop all the negative chatter and rewire your brain to focus on supportive thoughts that actually lift you up in life rather than drag you down, I cannot encourage you enough to go and check out my course, the Managing Your Mind Master Course, which you can find on my website. So under Inspiring Mum Life, there is a shop tab. That is where you will find it. And like I said, I cannot rave about this course enough. And I truly believe that there isn't a person in the world who wouldn't benefit from having their life totally transformed just by learning how to manage your mind. Okay, the power always begins with the thoughts you are thinking. And that is it, my friend, for today's episode. As always, you know I love and appreciate you all so much. And until next time, much love, and I can't wait to catch up with you soon on the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to the Inspiring Life School podcast. I really appreciate you allowing me to be a part of your life. If you'd love to stay in touch, please know that you can always find me on Instagram at Frances Vidakovic, or you can visit my website inspiringmumlife.com, where you can sign up and receive so many amazing freebies that I've created just for you to help you implement all my teachings into practice. There you'll also find all my online courses, resources and programs that I've created to help you uplevel your life in seriously the simplest way possible, so that you can ultimately create for yourself a life that feels simpler, lighter, and allows you to show up in a way that you love as your best and most authentic version of yourself. Now remember, this podcast is all about not just dreaming but also doing, because to create true sustainable change in your life, you need to be willing to do things differently. And that's what I'm here to support you to do every single step along the way, so that you too can begin to live your one wild and precious life with less stress, less overwhelm, less drama, and instead with zero regrets. Finally, if this podcast resonates with you at all and you appreciate the content, I would absolutely love for you to show your support by leaving me a review on Apple Podcasts. I'm on a mission to help more people wake up to the preciousness of life and to help them live their days with more intention and purpose, and your review will help make this goal of mine possible. Well, once again, thank you so much. I have loved spending this time with you, and I look forward to connecting with you again. I am Frances Vidakovic, and you have been listening to the Inspiring Life School podcast.